Do you ever wake up late at night, around 3 a.m., maybe 4:17, perhaps just before the sun even starts to show, and you think, goodness, why am I awake now? You roll around, you shift positions, you check your phone, you sigh, you might say a little prayer, but deep inside, you sense something drawing you, like a divine hushed voice saying, "My child, I need you to pay attention." You see, that isn't simply sleeplessness. That is a holy disruption. That is not just your body stirring. That is your spirit being summoned. Because between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., that is when the world's commotion becomes calm enough for heaven to speak out clearly. And the Creator desires to meet you there. So tonight, I wish to speak to those of you who have been getting up in those hours, believing something is wrong, when in truth, something is about to change. The Creator has been trying to awaken you, not just from your rest, but from your deep sleep, because there is a distinction. Rest renews your body, but deep sleep keeps your soul stuck. And possibly, just possibly, this is the time when your unexpected call isn't a penalty, it is a special placement. When you wake up between 3 and 5 a.m., I want you to stop seeing it as a bother and begin viewing it as an invitation. You think you are waking because you have too many things on your mind. But my friend, that is the Creator saying, "I am ready to speak." It is not that He could not reach you during the daytime. It is that during the day, you have too many sounds competing for your focus. Electronic mail, instant messages, alerts, duties. But between those hours when the world is calm, the Creator is asking, now that it is only you and me, can we finally address what has been hidden inside? When the time reaches 3, something sacred takes place. You might not hear loud noise or see bright light, but in the quietness, heaven becomes accessible. That is why spiritual awakenings are often connected to those early times. There is something about that period that reveals everything false, every front, every disguise we put on when the sun is out. Between 3 and 5, there is no pretending. There is no audience. It is only your inner self and your helper. And I know you have experienced nights where you woke up feeling annoyed. You check the time, roll your eyes and groan, "Not this again." But what if you changed your view of that moment? What if instead of asking, "Why can't I rest?" you said, "Helper, what do you wish to communicate?" Because some of the most profound changes do not happen in the light of day. They are brought forth in the calm of the night. The Creator does His finest work in the dark. Recall that Jesus was brought back to life before the sun rose. Freedom came while the world was still resting. So when you find yourself waking up at those times, you are joining a spiritual flow older than existence itself. Sometimes the reason the Creator wakes you up is not to give you something. It is to take something away from you. There is a weight you have been carrying all day, and He is saying, "Let me relieve that while it is quiet enough for you to let it go." You see, release does not always happen in front of a group. Sometimes freedom happens in your sleeping area with tears flowing down your face and no one there to witness it except heaven. And the reason it feels difficult is because your physical self desires ease, but your spirit longs for clarity. Between 3 and 5, you are standing between two realities. One that says, "Go back to sleep," and another that says, "Wake up, I have insight for you." And if you ever choose insight over remaining in bed, I guarantee you what the Creator gives in those hours will strengthen you longer than an extra hour of rest ever could. You might say, "But I'm exhausted," and I understand. You have been giving your energy to everyone. You have been present when no one was present for you. You have been carrying burdens that were not yours to hold. So when your eyes open before morning, tiredness whispers, "Stay still." But purpose says, "Get up." Because the thing about purpose, it does not sleep. Calling does not stop work. Assignment does not clock out. When the Creator decides it is time, He will disturb your rest to restart your clarity. Let us explore this more deeply. When Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, His followers could not stay awake. The Holy Book says He found them resting 3 different times. They were physically worn out, but spiritually unaware. And Jesus said something so meaningful. "Could you not keep watch with me for 1 hour?" Maybe that is what the Creator is asking you when He wakes you at 3 a.m. Can you not stay with me for 1 hour? because there are conflicts being fought in the invisible realm that you are involved in. And your quiet prayers have the ability to change things that have not even occurred yet. I'm not sure who this message is for, but that issue you've been struggling with, that worry that keeps visiting you, that fear that keeps whispering lies, it no longer has the same influence. You are not waking up to be tortured. You are waking up to take charge. The enemy tries to turn your divine appointment into a moment of fear. That is why some of you feel sudden panic or heaviness when you open your eyes in those times. It is not by chance. It is resistance. You are being opposed because you are being called. The enemy knows what happens if you realize the power in those hours, if you stop avoiding it and start leaning into it. Because if you ever start praying with power between 3 and 5 a.m., you will start destroying things that were intended to destroy you. That is why you must change how you wake up. The next time you open your eyes in that calm, do not reach for your phone. Reach for your belief. Do not check your screen. Speak. Open your mouth and say, "Creator, I am here. What do you need me to understand? What do you need me to let go of?" Because the spiritual world responds to your position. When heaven sees you engaging instead of fighting, things start to happen. Messengers are sent out. Calmness starts to settle. That confusion you felt at 2 a.m. becomes clarity at 3. There is a reason talking to the Creator feels different at that time. Between 3 and 5 a.m., your inner self is sensitive. Your sense of judgment improves. You start sensing things in your spirit that your busy mind could not handle during the day. The Creator drops ideas, plans, healing. Sometimes He does not communicate with words. He communicates with knowing. You just understand. You do not know how you know, but you know. That is a divine download, and it only happens when you are still enough to accept it. And I know the world praises constant work. Get your 8 hours, guard your rest, sleep is sacred. And all of that has its place. But do not confuse physical rest with spiritual renewal. Sometimes the most restful thing you can do is meet the Creator when He calls, because in that presence He grants you peace that sleep cannot. You have been sleeping and still waking up tired because your rest is not only about your body, it is about your inner self. Let me tell you something. When the Creator wakes you up at that time, He is not trying to take something from you. He is trying to give something to you. There is an insight waiting in that darkness. Perhaps it is strength for the day ahead. Perhaps it is clarity about a choice. Perhaps it is a strong urge about something you have been avoiding. Or maybe it is just His presence. That soft voice reminding you, "I am still here. You are not by yourself." You do not have to come with the perfect prayer. Sometimes your quiet thought in that hour sounds like silence. Sometimes it sounds like tears. Sometimes it is just a deep breath that says, "Helper, I am paying attention." That is enough. You do not need polished words. You need honesty. Because the Creator does not respond to performance. He responds to your true attitude. He can do more with your raw truth than He can with your practiced sayings. Think about Samuel. When he was a young man, he heard a voice calling his name in the night. 3 times he believed it was the priest, until the priest realized it was the Creator and told him, "Next time say, 'Speak, helper, for your servant is listening.'" That is your prayer at 3 a.m. You do not need a script. You just need to let go of control. "Speak, helper, I am listening." And when you start praying like that, heaven pays attention. And maybe you are saying, "I have tried that. I woke up. I prayed, but I did not feel anything." That is all right. Prayer is not always about feeling. It is about trust. Just because you did not sense the Creator does not mean He was not acting. Some seeds are planted in silence. Some answers come later, appearing as peace. Keep showing up. Keep responding to the call, because consistency turns a visit into a permanent dwelling. When you create room for the Creator in those hours, eventually He will fill it with His presence. There is also a significant spiritual meaning at work. The early hours represent a change from night to day, from darkness to light. Waking up then is not accidental. It is important. It is the Creator telling you, "I am about to move you from one period to another." You are standing between what was and what is approaching. And if you can pray through that change, you will step into your next phase with power. The person you were is disappearing. The new you is forming. And this middle space, this special 3 to 5 window, is where transformation happens. Some of you have been asking for a breakthrough, but a breakthrough starts with following directions. And sometimes following directions simply looks like answering the Creator's wake-up call. You do not have to know the reason, you just have to respond. Because following directions opens the door for insight. When a faithful person got up early to take his son to the mountain, he did not have all the answers, but he had trust. And because he acted, the Creator supplied what was needed. So when you move, even from your bed to a position of prayer, heaven moves too. I want you to view that moment not as lost rest, but as holy time. You are entering a meeting heaven planned just for you. No distractions, no demands, just presence. The messengers lean in close, the Spirit begins to stir, and the Creator says, "Now that I have your attention, let me remind you who you are." You have been rushing, battling, striving, performing, but in those hours, He calls you child. He calls you chosen. He calls you His own. You may not realize it, but these divine interruptions are bringing your spirit into order. They are cleaning your soul. That restlessness you feel is not random. It is revelation trying to break through. The Creator is stirring things in you because He is getting ready to do things through you. You cannot enter your next phase carrying the remnants of the last one. So He wakes you to cleanse you. He wakes you to speak softly. He wakes you to caution you. Do not settle there. Do not return to what I freed you from. And when you start responding, you will notice something. Peace follows you into the morning. The anxiety that used to meet you when you woke up, it will not have the same hold. The heaviness that used to hang over you like a cloud, it starts lifting because you have changed the atmosphere before the world even woke up. You have gone ahead of your day spiritually, and now your day must submit to what you have declared in those holy hours. There is authority in that time. When you wake up, declare the sacred word. Speak life. You do not have to shout. Just speak. Say, "This day will agree with heaven's will. No weapon formed against me will succeed. Peace will protect my heart and mind." Because words create realities. And if you start shaping your reality between 3 and 5, the rest of the day will have to submit to what you said in faith. So no, it is not sleeplessness. It is guidance. It is not accidental, it is revelation. The Creator is drawing you into a deeper closeness because He is preparing you for greater impact. But He cannot trust you with daylight miracles if you will not meet Him in the quiet moments of the night. And when you start viewing those hours as sacred ground instead of a bother, you will start living in a new level of understanding, power, and peace. The Creator does not wake the unprepared, He wakes the chosen. And if you are waking up, it means you are chosen for something that requires your focus, your alignment, and your agreement. Heaven is saying, we are ready. Are you? When everything is calm between 3 and 5 a.m., that silence is not empty. It is holy. It is not the lack of sound. It is the presence of the Creator's soft voice. You must grasp that heaven does not always roar. Sometimes it breathes. And if you have been wondering why you cannot hear the Creator, perhaps it is because He is speaking at a level that requires calmness to catch. Between those hours, when the world stops moving and your thoughts slow down, that is when your spirit finally becomes sensitive enough to pick up what He has been saying all along. The silence at dawn is not your loneliness speaking. It is the Creator making room to show Himself. Do you ever notice how the world sounds different before the sun rises? The air feels softer, the darkness feels deeper. But there is also a strange feeling of anticipation. It is as if creation itself is waiting, holding its breath for the light. That is the moment the Creator speaks softly, and His soft voice is not weak. It carries weight. It brings peace, direction, correction, and comfort all in one breath. When He speaks softly, He is not trying to hide. He is inviting you nearer. Because soft words are not for crowds. They are for those who lean in. That is why you cannot hear Him when you are rushing, checking your phone, running, or worrying. You hear Him when you are still enough to notice the difference between your thoughts and His truth. You see, silence is the Creator's canvas. It is where He paints clarity. It is where he removes the background sound of doubt, fear, and distraction. And when you permit yourself to enter that silence, not just physically calm, but giving up control internally, something changes. Your anxiety starts losing its grip. The questions that troubled you all day begin to lessen in his presence. You start realizing that answers do not always come in words. Sometimes they come in awareness. That is the soft voice, that inner push that tells you you are not alone, even when no one else is awake. It is that gentle thought that tells you let it go when you were planning to hold on a little longer. That is the Creator. And he has been speaking like that all along, waiting for you to tune in. When you wake up in those early hours and everything around you feels still, it is easy to mistake silence for absence. But silence is not the Creator's absence. It is his atmosphere. The reason he speaks in soft tones is because he wants to draw you into a close relationship. A soft voice means come closer. A soft voice means I trust you with something delicate. If he shouted, anyone could hear. But when he speaks softly, it is personal. It is a special communication. It is heaven saying, this moment is just between me and you. And if you learn how to be still in that silence, you will start recognizing his voice even in the middle of your challenges. That is why the silence at dawn is so powerful. It shows how loud your life has become. Most of us are surrounded by so much noise that we forget what peace even sounds like. You have internal alerts going off. Thoughts, worries, fears, all competing for attention. But when the Creator brings you into that 3 to 5 a.m. moment, he is saying, let me reset your spirit. He is pulling you away from the world's noise so he can remind you of the sound of his word. Because peace has a sound, and once you recognize it, you will stop settling for anything that breaks it. There is a story in the Holy Book about a prophet. He was exhausted, hiding in a cave, overcome by fear and annoyance. He wanted to give up, but the Creator called him out to stand on the mountain because he was about to pass by. The Holy Book says there was a strong wind, but the Creator was not in the wind. Then there was an earth tremor, but the Creator was not in the earth tremor. Then came a fire, but the Creator was not in the fire. And after all that noise, there came a very quiet voice. That is where the Creator was, in the stillness. That is what these hours are about. You keep looking for him in the big signs, in the dramatic events, in the loud encounters, but the Creator says, I am not in the confusion, I am in the calm. The soft voice carries more truth than the loud noise ever could. Sometimes that soft voice is a correction. It is gentle, but it is clear. You will wake up, sit there in the dark, and suddenly remember something you said or did that was not right. That is not guilt. That is mercy. The Creator guides those he cares for. The soft voice is him saying, child, let us fix that before it causes trouble. Sometimes the soft voice is a direction. You have been asking for clarity about a decision, and in that quiet hour, the answer appears out of nowhere, not loud but certain, and sometimes the soft voice is comfort. It is not an instruction or a correction, it is just his presence surrounding your tiredness saying, I see you, I have you. The soft voice is whatever your soul requires most at that moment. You might not hear words, but you will feel peace. You might not get a complete plan, but you will get a push. The Creator rarely gives the whole map. He gives the next step. That is what the soft voice brings. One step of obedience, one word of encouragement, one spark of hope, enough to move you forward, enough to keep you walking by faith and not by what you can see. And that is why silence is sacred, because when you can sit in it without demanding answers, you start realizing that his presence is the answer. That stillness teaches you how to trust even when you do not understand. The silence also contains plans. Between 3 and 5 a.m., your spirit is aware in ways your mind cannot grasp. You are in a position to receive insights, divine outlines, heavenly directions that you could not have access to in your busy life. The Creator begins to show you things, ideas, warnings, sudden thoughts, not because you earned them. The soft voice holds wisdom, but wisdom does not compete for your attention. It waits for you to surrender control. So when you wake up and it is calm, do not rush to fill the space. Let that silence spread out. Let it make you slightly uncomfortable. Let it remove your distractions until all that is left is awareness of his nearness. That silence can feel challenging, though, because when everything else is quiet, your thoughts become loud. The things you hide during the day start to come to the surface. Sadness, embarrassment, sorrow, confusion. They all start speaking. But that is not to torment you, that is to heal you. The Creator lets those thoughts surface because He is ready to address them. He is saying, now that the world is not speaking to you, will you let me speak to what has been speaking inside you? The silence reveals the mess in your soul. It shows you what needs releasing. And if you stay long enough in that silence, you will realize that the soft voice is not competing with those internal sounds, it is calming them. The soft voice says, be still. And everything inside you that has been restless finally lets out a deep breath. There is power in learning to sit with silence without rushing to fix it, because silence is the ground for revelation. You cannot plant seeds of understanding in a noisy soul. The soft voice of the Creator needs room to land. That is why He wakes you when it is quiet, because that is when your heart is fertile ground. He wants to plant something in you that will blossom later in the daylight. You will not always recognize it at first, but later you will say, now I see what the Creator was doing in those hours. He was getting you ready, refining you, positioning you through soft words no one else heard. You must learn to trust that soft voice. It does not always make sense. It might tell you to let go of something you thought you needed, to reach out to someone you thought you were done with, or to start something you do not feel prepared for. The soft voice will stretch you, but it will also keep you secure. It does not lead you to confusion. It leads you to conviction. It carries a tone of peace, even when it is challenging you. That is how you know it is the Creator. His soft words bring alignment, not stress. The enemy shouts to scare. The Creator whispers to invite. And if you ever learn to tell the difference between those two voices, you will never be controlled by fear again. Between 3 and 5 a.m., the soft voice also repairs your identity. The enemy spends all day trying to convince you that you are inadequate, unseen, unworthy. But when you sit in that silence, you begin to hear the opposing story of heaven. You start recalling who you are. The soft voice says, you are chosen, you are forgiven, you are mine. You realize you are not defined by your mistakes or your past. You are defined by the one who keeps showing up for you in the stillness. The soft voice at dawn becomes the anchor that keeps you steady when the world's noise tries to pull you apart later in the day. And do not underestimate what can happen when you start responding to that soft voice. Following directions in private produces results in public. The Creator will start giving you insights and ideas that seem small at first, but carry a divine impact. He will tell you to pray for someone, and you will find out later they needed that exact prayer. He will nudge you to change something in your life, and months later you will see how that small step opened up major blessings. That is the power of the soft voice. It plants purpose in hidden places. The soft voice will also remind you that not every silence needs to be filled with words. We have been trained to think that prayer means talking, but sometimes prayer means listening. Sometimes prayer means letting the Creator finish the sentence you keep interrupting. In those hours when you sit and breathe and simply acknowledge His presence, you are praying. That is meditation. Not emptying your mind, but focusing your heart. You are saying, Helper, I am here. I am listening. That kind of listening prayer changes the environment. You stop striving and start aligning. You stop performing and start receiving. And that is where peace lives. Not in control, but in connection. In the silence, the Creator also restores your ability to feel. Life can make you hard. Disappointment can numb you. The more hurt you carry, the less you feel. But when the Creator pulls you into that quiet, He begins to soften what has become tough. You start feeling again, feeling His care, His conviction, His kindness. You remember what gentleness feels like. That is how healing begins. Not with a dramatic change, but with a quiet understanding that you are safe in His presence. The soft voice becomes the sound of healing moving through your heart, gently reversing what pain tried to harden. You must learn to guard that silence. Once you experience the presence that lives in it, you will realize it is too valuable to exchange for distractions. That means setting limits with your mornings. That means refusing to rush from revelation into routine. The Creator's soft voice deserves response, not neglect. Sometimes before you even get out of bed, just take a moment to breathe in His peace. Let the stillness set the mood. Let the soft voice settle in your spirit before the world's noise tries to take it away. And here is something profound. The Creator's soft voice is not just for your peace, it is for your purpose. He is not only trying to comfort you, He is trying to give you a mission. In that stillness, He gives you assignments that require sensitivity. You will find yourself acting differently because of what you heard in silence.